will call the meeting to order. Do we have any public comment? Nope. Adjustments to the agenda? Approve the minutes of Tuesday, December 30th. Do I have a motion?
You got one? So moved.
Thank you.
I get two.
I need a second, guys.
Second.
All right, we've got plenty. Any discussion on the minutes? All right, hearing none, so moved. Board correspondence, I don't have anything. Public comments? Jamie's up next, but he's like hiding.
Sorry, guys.
We're not waiting.
We
We're
supposed to play
rolling.
music when he came in.
I know,
forgot.
right?
Oh, man. Eye of the Tiger, I think.
We're good. We're short. We're not very. There you are, Bill.
There's 9,
Right there.
right? 9's the number?
Oh, we have 10.
Nine's the number.
All right.
We got everyone.
We're up to your report.
All right. Moving right along. So you have my handwritten report. We'll talk about Act 73 a little bit. I'm sorry, it's a bit heavy on Act 73, even in my written report. Tara's been working incredibly hard with getting our mailers together. Those went to the printer today, just as an update for districts that are going to be voting at the March board meeting. I only was able to make capstone projects and ended up being on Tuesday, although I thoroughly enjoyed the 3 I was able to get to. Due to the testimony on Friday afternoon, I wasn't able to get there Friday morning, but I've heard really positive reports about our high school capstone projects and look forward to the implementation of the rest of the capstone projects at our other schools this spring as authentic celebrations of learning. I know that CAO Adams mentioned our capstone projects in her written report as well, and some things we're going to be looking to try to better emphasize in regards to just alignment of the showcase of our presentations to the characteristics of the portrait of a learner, not just relying on some of the written aspects of the project to align to those. I wanted to highlight again just the success that we're having at the Watermill campus, both to, having resulted in us bringing students back, but we've had some students who would have been put on wait lists for out-of-district placements that have been on wait lists since last spring that we are now educating effectively here and serving them well. So a real shout out to that team, because what that's resulting in is kids receiving high quality instruction and supports and interventions, where in the past we would have probably resulted in having to do individualized tutorial here at the central office. So it's great that we've got programming that can meet the needs of those students in the event that teams were looking for them to be referred for out-of-district placements. And then I'll just highlight, I will be testifying in Senate Finance tomorrow afternoon at 1:45, and I can get into all the fun details where committees and things are at in regards to Act 73 later under that discussion item. Otherwise, I'll take any questions folks may have, and just a note, specifically for Jihad and ARSUD board members, my coffee and conversation's been moved to the 12th now. The cafe's not open on Tuesdays, so it's going to be on the 12th from 8:30 to 9:30 with Principal Stetson.
Any questions for Jamie? All right. On to Onda, but she's not here. Are you doing her report?
Anda's not here, but I can take her report. She must be in a tight basketball game. Anda's doing some elementary basketball coaching.
Nice.
And she had a game in Windsor tonight, so.
Any questions on?
So
Okay.
just to highlight again, Onda does a nice job of talking about how we're continuing to work to make certain that our capstone project celebrations are directly tied to the characteristics of the WVRSU Portrait of a Learner. And so we continue to work with our teams in order to make certain that there's more explicit connection to those characteristics. And Otherwise, there's some real celebrations and decreased absenteeism across the SU, which I think is going to result directly in increased academic gains for our students as we look to academic data here at the end of this current year, because we are seeing significant improvement across all districts and buildings in that regard. So a shout out to our MTSS coordinator, Michaela Martin, and our principals and our student support teams around the work they're doing with Health Hub and Claire Martin to address chronic absenteeism. And then I'll take any questions folks may have on our Chief Academic Officer's report.
All right.
These guys are speedy tonight.
I know, right? And Rebecca.
All right. So as requested from our last meeting in December, I provided a little bit more detailed breakdown of the eligibility per school. This does not include our students who attend choice. These are just within our buildings, so you can compare the enrollment and the number who are currently active with an IEP to get the percentage. Those are the numbers I'm using to help determine where staffing needs will be prioritized for next year. And then just some planning on our end here. We're working on starting the ESY process, extended school year summer planning. Looking to keep it largely the same this year and with an eye towards making some small improvements after I consult with Haley Knight from One Planet. In January, our PD time was focused on being together and cross-training to have more flexibility in reaching our students. We're gonna shift for the remainder of the year. This Friday, I'll be meeting with the team to start the planning for our intensive programming, and we'll start to lay the foundation in our trainings for the remainder of the year around that. And I will take any questions.
Michael has a question.
Yeah, thank you very much for this report. I really appreciate it. And can we just get back to that graph for a second, or that chart?
Yeah.
We go from, as a SU, from 9% on active IEP to 21.5%. That's a huge range, and I'm sure you guys are looking into that, but I can't look at this data without noticing that. And when I look at the percentages, a lot, 14, 15, 17%. How does that compare to the state? Do you have any idea how those numbers compare? Just if we're picking 14 or 15 as sort of an average.
Yeah, when you look at, what people say is kind of the ideal percentage, you're looking between 12 to 15% in a population would be identified as being on an IEP. Statewide, we do run higher. 20% is more common to find across the state.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate this information presented this way. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, of course.
With the state average being higher than national average, do you think that's probably a population, a student body population?
It's part of population. It's part of how we interpret regs. And provide academic and social emotional support, with the new eligibility rules changing a few years ago, allowing functional skills to be an area that we look at. That's social emotional, that's executive functioning, that's not just your reading, writing, math.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, we got an easy crowd tonight. Tara, you're up.
So you all have my report. It outlines what's happening in February. And then Jamie let you know that I did send out the mailers today to the printers. Stratford, I think, also went out today. We all proofed it for Nellie, and I think she was sending it off as well. And then next, I will be working on final drafts of Rochester, Stockbridge, and Granville, Hancock districts for their meetings next week. And then if there's any questions.
I just want to thank you very much. I know it's a lot to put those reports together because I remember doing it as a board person, and now they're done here. So
I got
it's
it down to a science.
it's completely appreciated, 100%.
Couldn't do it without nitro PDF, let me tell you.
There you go. All right, guys. Anything for Tara? Ray.
Okay.
I would happily entertain any questions from here in the room or online from board members about my report or anything in my department. Once Onda gets settled, I'm going to ask her to pick up that newsletter and wave it at the camera. They should be arriving in your mailboxes any day now.
Still good feedback on report cards. I see that's like the first thing here. That's still
Yep.
going. I remember before it was like, oh, everybody's like, oh, this is great. So that's
Yep.
still rolling. Nobody's like, oh, just kidding.
Well, that feedback specifically was from the high school principal, and those report cards are about to wrap up for the end of the second quarter in the first semester, and then the next trimester ends for K-8 early next, March. So,
Great.
yep. But that is all planned out for the scope and sequence of review, printing,
Michael.
Ray, thank you for linking Jamie's, WCAX and House and Senate Ed and Vermont Viewpoint links at the bottom of that. So if folks haven't seen that, there are links to be able to see and listen to Jamie present. And I just think we're really fortunate to have someone who does such a nice job of being passionate and articulate, but staying very much in a professional lane. So thanks for making those links available.
of course, that's the easy part.
Any other questions for Ray? Comments? Thank you, Ray. And we have the Superintendent Evaluation Committee has a meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. I know some people are going to be late. Not everybody can be there. We're just going to get started and start to figure out how we're going to coordinate the data and put it all together. And then we'll schedule another meeting. And if you can't get there on time, you can get there late. That's great. Just join us whenever you can. All right. And Policy Committee. We have two policies that are for possible action tonight. The C38, C33, intra-supervisory union transfer policy. This is our final reading. It's warned in the paper, so if we are happy with this C38 and C36, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved. Second.
All right. Any discussion on C33 or C36? Eric?
Thank you, and I apologize to the group. I'm unable to be on camera. My internet is not particularly robust today. When this policy first came to this group, it had a different feel to it. And as a result of that feel, which I think a number of individuals were really uncomfortable with, there was some significant amendments that were, and some work that was done on the policy to really capture what it is that we wanted to do, which is to give individuals an opportunity to transfer from one district to another district within the SU when there was a real need for it. Not just, this is not sort of the creation of school choice writ large. And what I would say is that as a result of the changes that were made, I am happy to vote in favor of this policy.
Me too.
Thanks, Eric. All right. Any other discussion on the policies? If not, we'll move them to a vote, and I'll do a roll call.
Are you doing each one, or did you move them both together?
They move them both together.
Okay.
All right. If you're in favor of the policy, say yes. If not, Michael, Bill,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
me. Jamie, did you hear me?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Sana?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Elle?
Yes.
Sylvia?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Jesse?
Sorry, yes.
Yep, you're an alternate, so you can vote.
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so it passes unanimously. Thanks, guys. Or they pass.
Yes, thanks, everybody.
I'm not sure if, only because it's related to behavioral threat assessment teams, I don't see anywhere else I can squeeze my little 2 cents in. I actually went to a meeting at work with Department of Public Safety with our Vermont School Safety Center. I had to look up their acronym because I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. And they did mention that if we're interested, so it's not ed, this is public safety. If they're interested in our presentation, that they could come to the SU meeting to sort of hit as many of our district boards as possible. And they can provide the training as well. It's pretty interesting stuff. I mean, a lot of it's fairly basic, but about, state policies and resources that are there with regard to school safety in general, whether it's infrastructure or policies and that sort of thing. There's some really great information and just great people. But again, they're not from ed. They're not here for findings or anything like that. They're there as a resource. So they were definitely willing to come speak with the board if we're interested in that. It doesn't have to be immediate, but just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, no, totally. Thank you. We'll have to figure out how to work that into one of our agendas.
Yes, absolutely. And whenever, if it does come up, there are a few steps up one flight of stairs away from me. So.
Oh, nice. All right. Updates on Act 73.
So I guess this was being discussed a little bit in the policy committee. So I mean, I think we're starting to see, I think we'll see this week, the House and Senate take 2 different paths toward how to modify Act 73. Possibly, I don't get a sense that either are interested in drawing maps. I think the notion of a map coming forward this year is more than likely dead. I think that if you look at what Senate and House had discussed today in committee, that neither are necessarily talking about unilaterally drawing maps. The biggest difference is I think that House head is once again talking about legislation that's going to require supervisory districts. It seems like between, right around 2,000 seemed to be the number of a minimum that they're discussing, but I heard that 1,000 was thrown out there. Either way, we don't have 1,000 student school district here. None of you as a school district would meet that for a supervisory district. And so what that would be resulting in the House version is no longer permitting SUs. And as school districts, you would need to be finding partners to partner with as an SD. And that could be you all partnering, but that it would be forced consolidation. And we're still only about 1,700 students. And if it was 2,000, we'd come up short. And so that is the House's current discussion. Very much in the flavor of Act 46 when they talked about SDs of 900. Now they're essentially talking about supervisory districts of a minimum of 2,000. SUs don't seem to be under consideration at the House Ed. In Senate Ed, there was discussion, and very similarly, of not necessarily wanting to go draw maps. And I would say that one of the things that I was heartened by was that even the Republicans on Senate Ed didn't indicate that they thought they should just go start drawing maps. There's a lot of discussion around what the next steps would be in Senate Ed. Some of the Republicans did come out and say, that's fine as a committee that we may think this, but we need to get the governor to agree that we don't need to move forward with the drawing of maps. But I thought that was great to hear the Republican senators who have taken a lot of testimony and heard from our communities back in December say that. And so, I think there's talk in both about wanting to utilize CSAs, cooperative educational service areas or BOCES. I think there's the Senate Ed seemed open to SUs as a governance structure, not just open, actually fairly committed to that approach to stay in place. So that is where this, where they're going to have to reconcile it. It is why in my testimony on Friday, if anyone was able to see or read it, I did just put that out there up front, that this continued conversation about SUs seems to be about choice, at least in regards to when you hear House Ed talk about it. And you know, based on a bill that's been sponsored to limit choice coming out of membership of the Senate right now. You know, I think we've done a good job as an SU, and frankly, I think as an RSCA, to speak to why we see the SU governance model to be important for rural Vermont. And frankly, I truly believe that it does bring increased accountability to the system. And I believe that larger SDs across multiple towns results in more middle management and frankly more separation from the folks that we serve, which is our families, right, and our kids. That there's just more space in regards to connection to those that we serve, and hence decreased accountability. So when I talked about that in my testimony on Friday, I just truly believe that. And so I think as a state, we should make decisions on what's best for our kids and communities, and not about how many nights a week I have to be out as a superintendent. I hope we're not making those decisions based on that. And I think you are a good example of boards that have created a model that has allowed me now, you know, I'm in the middle of year 6, frankly, to have a meeting schedule that I can keep pace with and still be with my family and feel that I can continue to do this important work for you. And, you know, early on, until we worked on that model, that wasn't the case, right? But we were also dealing with a pandemic, and I was a, you know, new superintendent. And I do remember in this middle of year 2 feeling pretty cooked. But I think that you as a board are a model of how you can navigate that and create really good structures. So, you know, I think that that's where we're at in House and Senate Ed. I'm going to be in Senate Finance tomorrow to once again emphasize the importance of seesaws, the importance of taking steps to create better economies of scale and efficiency. I've certainly talked about the importance to keep an SU in place. I'm chuckling. I don't know how well received that will be in Senate Finance versus where I've been testifying in Senate Ed. I expect there will be a little more of an uphill challenge with my testimony specific to that tomorrow. And I'm going to say that I see S220, which is the proposed bill from Senator Baru, the Senate Pro Tem, to only be a means of a transition to get us to a more improved funding formula. And I'm going to give an example of a district that we have currently right now in First Branch, where their expenditure increase is less than a percentage point. Their actual Act 68 spending is down, meaning the money that they're going to collect from the Ed Fund next year is less than what we're collecting currently. But yet their town's taxes are going to go up 20%. And that's a problem with the funding formula. And so I do think we need to fix it. I'm also going to say that's why you shouldn't use the per pupil expenditure year to year as the cap. I'm actually going to try to have them see that I actually think if you're going to place any cap for 1 year, it should be on Act 68 spending. If you're talking about trying to decrease the spending across the state, it should be what a district's actually taking from the ed fund. I'm also going to talk about I have major concerns with the data integrity coming from the AOE, and we should not be tying ourselves to the AOE's data in regards to spending. And so I want you to know I'm going to support the idea of S220, but try to get them focused on that it doesn't need to necessarily be about pupil spending. And if it is, you need to hold districts harmless if they were to lose pupils. Because if you don't, you're going to ask them to gut programming. And I'll give that example of First Branch tomorrow as an example. If we were held to a 3% cap on per pupil, it would have, I don't even know if we would have met it, let alone we would have cut everything in order to get there. So I'm not supportive of a cap like that. And so that's what my testimony will focus on tomorrow in Senate Finance.
Bill.
Yeah, first I wanted to make a comment that all of us should carefully read Jamie's testimony to the Senate Ed Committee that was submitted. And I also think that each of our board's members should read it carefully. It is strategic, it's articulate, it really helps us look at what's going on in a very meaningful way. And so if we haven't done that, I just think that should be an agenda item on your board development agenda, your boards. It's unbelievable. And I'm still reading it more than once just to make sure I get it all squared away. I have two questions for Jamie. The first one is, we haven't heard a lot about where the Vermont School Board Association is, or the Vermont Superintendents Association. Are they still holding firm that it's SD or the highway?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Bill. The School Board Association seems to not be taking a direct stance on that. I think that their testimony has not focused as much on SD versus SU and has been really focused on the redistricting task force report and policy. So I think that that's where they've tied a lot of their testimony to this current session. The VSA, on the other hand, has been opposite of that. They've actually been much more forward with testimony specific to SDs.
Unbelievable. The second question is that I'm concerned about this, whether we have maps or not, or reorganize or not. If we have a formula that basically leaves it up to the legislature and the governor to set the spending cap every year, am I losing something? Or, I mean, that's, to me, could be a clear and present danger. Oh, they can't afford it in their overall budget, so they agree to overall cut everybody's budget by 3% or 4% or 5%. Am I painting a too dark of a picture, or is there still some light at the end of the tunnel, Jamie?
It's why I keep saying it needs to be really well researched, right? I am putting some trust in our elected officials that they'll have a strong, foundation formula if that's what they enact. There's lots of states that do it, actually a majority of states in the country function under a foundation formula. Bill, I think a wise colleague last year said it best in a lot of ways. Like, you could probably get at this around implementation of shared services, decrease the excess spending threshold, and encourage people to look to continue to merge governance, right? To right size the number of SUs and SDs in the state. That's John Castle, right? Who's a retired superintendent from North Country after a lot of years. And I think it's a real simplified approach.
Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of common sense. It seems to be at least a real momentum across party lines of wanting to change the change the funding formula to a foundation formula, to have a statewide set equalized tax rate. Because that's what that would do.
Okay, thank you.
Eric? Eric, did you hear me? All
He's
right,
having technology issues.
All right.
Maybe
we'll go to Sana and we'll come back to Eric if he gets his.
Jamie, I can't thank you enough for the consistent way you keep showing up and the thoughtful, and then the strategic way that you've been approaching this in a way that has been reaching folk that might otherwise be really hard to reach and convince. So thank you for that. And I mean, I'm also just grateful to, that I get to be part of this democratic process. Like this is really cool. It's that we are working as a collective. So my question is on that point, what kind of communication would be helpful from us as members of the board and from parents and community members so as not to muddy the waters around messaging? Should we be focusing on Senate Ed? Should we be focusing on House members? What kind of communication should they be hearing right now to enforce what you've already shared without repeating the same thing?
Thanks, Sana. So I have been working with the RSCA steering committee over the last couple of days to create language that will be helpful specific to board members around an action alert. A draft of that had been finalized, but we were waiting to get some feedback from Nick Sherman from Leonine, who is serving as the RSCA's lobbyist around making certain we just get that language correct. So some of that will be forthcoming. In the meantime, specific to House Ed, I think you can take some main points from my testimony about why SUs increase accountability, provide for local democracy. And I also think it's okay to say why choice is important in our rural districts and emphasize to them, like I did in that first paragraph when I started to talk about SUs as choice in last Friday's testimony, that you did that because you were trying to be good stewards of Vermont's money, right? Like you're trying to be efficient. That is why some of you don't operate grades. And so I think just helping them see that and pointing that out to them would be helpful. And, really that needs to be directed at House Ed at this point. Of which, we do have one rep on, Joshua Dobrovich, represents Chelsea and Williamstown. So we do have a representative on House Ed, which is supportive of SUs. It's just really hard, I think, for some folks in that committee right now to find that voice to push back on this idea that SUs are only in place to provide for choice.
Oh, Jesus.
Thank you so much, Jamie.
Michael?
Jamie, without digging too far into the weeds, do you think it's possible that House Ed is holding a hardline position on SDs because they know they're going to end up at the bargaining table with Senate Ed and they want to be able to reach some kind of compromise? Is that a possibility or is that not likely?
I don't know what the compromise would be on because neither one seems to want to take on maps. I think really just one saying that we might allow for, I don't think Senate Ed even wants to put numbers on this. I think they want to encourage SUs and SDs to look for partners, but I don't even think they're going to require. That's the feeling I'm getting from them, and just based on the quick overview I got from some notes from Margaret McLean from the steering committee of RSCA today. Like, I think they want to create some parameters to allow for some of this to work to happen where it makes sense. But I don't even think that they're looking to even require that necessarily. So I just don't know what the bargaining chip would be. I mean, I think it is fair.
Thanks.
I think it's fair to say that there's just some members on House Ed who, just really think that supervisory districts is the way to go. And they've heard from the VSA, right, and the VPA that that's true, that they're more in the Vermont School Board. Business managers testify to that as well. The Vermont VASBO. Vermont State Business.
Vermont Association of
Thank
School
you.
Business Officials.
Thank you. There's a lot of V's. Essentially, all the V's have said you need to do supervisory districts. They make more sense. They're more efficient. And then there's this, there's the RSCA saying, but we believe in local democracy and, and that is, listen, I think frankly, it's, we should be incredibly proud we're still even having this conversation right now. So we got to keep up the good work. I think we've got lots of action alerts ahead. I think there's a lot of people that thought we would have been way beyond talking about it. Do SUs even still exist in the state at this point? So, the uphill battle is you're just going to remember the governor, every map the governor puts forth is an SD. So it's not, it's not just House Ed here. The governor is also proposing supervisory districts.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jamie.
Eric, are you good now?
That's a odd question to ask me because I'm never good. Thank you, though, Kathy. What I wanted to say before the internet so rudely bumped me off was that as Jamie, as you testify with the Senate or the House, especially as we're thinking about caps, I think caps are really helpful and can be an incredibly helpful mechanism. It is an incredibly unfair mechanism when other agencies and or mechanisms are not also capped. So if all of a sudden healthcare goes again, up again at 16% as it has in previous years, it is absolutely unfair to hold school districts to a 3% increase cap when we can't control what's going on beyond us. So if they want us, to live up to a cap, then do it across the darn tootin' system, not just with us. But you can say that more politely than me.
No, thank you. I did. That is in my testimony. Thanks for pointing that out. As well as I said, you need to cap announced tuitions for public and private schools. So you can't say that your spending cap has to be 3% and allow any district to announce their tuition higher than that. And I can give Granville Hancock as a non-operating district of why that would be critically important.
All right. Any other questions around Act 73 for Jamie or comments? All right. So, wagon wheel schedule for the spring.
Yeah, Nancy, as we're talking about structures, had requested that we talk about you as a board about if there's a desire to identify any additional months that could be possibly wagon wheels. Last year we did June and August.
Yeah.
And so it's on here just for discussion.
All right. So are we planning on keeping June and August? That seemed to work well, right? Do we want to do any additional months other than June and August?
I don't know.
July we don't meet, right?
We don't meet in July,
No meeting in July, so June, July, and August, we would give Jamie
the whole team.
the whole team the one meeting. So what do we think, guys? Any others?
I think April is probably tough if you have new board members. You know what I mean? They would want to go to their regular board meeting and not something that's not a regular board meeting for their first.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only, I mean, and then, our Southern Jihad, they vote in May. So we have to have a special meeting in May. I mean, I did think about May could possibly be another okay month. Because we could focus on reorganization at our Southern Jihad in May. That's really what you do at your May meeting. And frankly, I wouldn't mind your May meetings being pushed back. Because we typically have to push them back because your annual meeting happens and we need to reorganize. So May is the other month that I would suggest that you could possibly do it. I think looking ahead, actually, as I'm building your agendas right now, February is not overly heavy. So February could be a month moving forward that we consider doing it. With, the business office's attention focused on ARSUD and Jihad, and because the rest of the districts were really just, our budgets had at least been put to bed and we're planning on just how we're going to communicate and things.
All right, so let's talk about May. Do we want to do, because we could do May this May. Do we want to add May, June, and August as wagon wheels? Can I get a thumbs up, guys, if you're in favor? Just to see if we got the majority. All right, so
we'll try May
May.
and we'll see how it goes. And then we'll stick with June and August.
Okay, do we want to talk about this year or is it too soon?
I think it's too soon. Let's just wait. We can revisit it. Let's get through these three and see how people are feeling, and then we can revisit it.
Okay. Did somebody have their hand up? I thought I heard beep. Oh, but, okay. All right.
You might have been trying to put his thumb up.
Okay. So May, June, and August will be wagon wheels. So make sure you pass that on to your boards so they know it's coming. And then we have a finalist interview for the business manager position.
Yes. So I'm going to turn it over here to the board in a minute. I did send all of you an email with Chris Locarno's cover letter and resume. I was able to have 3 board members from the SU join me with interviewing Chris after we received his application. I did work with Chris when I served as the principal at the Williamstown schools for 7 years. Then some of you would have been on the board. Chris did a little work with us early on into my tenure when we were just, weeding through the merger of both SUs, and Tara was working incredibly hard with our accountant to try to get, what is that thing called that you were doing? Remember when we were, I don't know the term, when you were bringing all the chart of accounts?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, universal chart of accounts.
Look at that. I mean, I can't even tell you what that means.
I was trying to think where you were going.
But I
with that.
remember we were doing that. So
But
Chris
also-
supported us then. I can walk you through the tax sheet finally. Don't start to ask me about chart of accounts.
You do a great job.
And so it's my pleasure and our other 3 board members, and that was Michael Livingston and Nancy Pageway and Sarah Root assisted me with this interview. It's my pleasure to bring forward to you Chris Locarno for your consideration tonight, and then I would turn it over to the board to ask questions. And Michael or Nancy, do you want to kick off with the first question that we asked previously?
I mean, the questions that we talked to Chris about, or?
Just the initial question, like, why would you want to come to WRVSU and an SU, right?
I mean, I'll take a stab at that. Nancy, please jump in. But can I just start by saying, before we start to talk about Chris,
of course,
Tara, thank you for years of incredible work and support. You do a fabulous job for us, and we're going to miss you, and we wish you well. So let's just start with that, please. Jamie's mentioned that he's worked with Chris before. Chris has supported us in our recent past. He has extraordinary amount of experience. He's been in semi-retirement. You can tell very quickly that he's actually been looking for a potential opportunity, but was being very, very selective about that. And he came to that interview really clear that he would like to work with us, and he left feeling even more clear about that. So he's totally committed, energetic, smart, fun. I think would work really well, not only with all of us, but would be someone you could easily have speak on our behalf at a town meeting or at some kind of public forum. So he just has a nice a way about him. He's accessible with his knowledge and how he presents his information. I think we would be extraordinarily fortunate to find someone like him at this point. And I know that Sarah's not here. I think I can speak for her. I'll let Nancy speak for herself, but we both feel very strongly that he would make an excellent candidate. So I think the only downside with Chris, which he understands and so does Jamie, is you'd have to rein him back, right? You'd have to like set really clear parameters around how much he was going to take on, because his inclination would be to do more than he needed to. And I have no doubt that we would be able to negotiate that. So Nancy, do you want to add your thoughts, please?
I was just going to say that everything you said. I was really happy to meet him, and yeah, real positive feelings. Tara, you are going to be missed, and I wish you well in your next endeavors, but you helped us find somebody that it's going to be okay. So thank you.
All right. Chris, you want to talk to them about why?
Yeah, I want to know.
Michael, will you talk for me again? Because that was beautiful. So I'll go real quick. I think I can sum it up in a couple ways. So
They probably can't see him. Can you all hear him? You probably can't see him. Can you see him?
No, but we can hear him.
Sure.
Pro tip, if you pin the conference, then they get bigger and we get smaller and you can see him a bit.
I don't think they can see us.
Now you're not.
Now I am in the hospital.
At least it moves, so you're good.
I will add the best question of the interview. Sarah Rue asked all my superpowers. I've been practicing my superpower answer all the drive down. So unfortunately, I didn't get to answer that. But Michael kind of touched on it. So why am I here? So as Michael said, and as my resume points out, I was at CVSU for almost 30 years. I did decide to step down in December 2024 due to burnout. I was absolutely burned out. It was a very different position than this. I had my hands in probably 10 different departments. It was a bit much, including negotiations. So I took the year off, knowing full well that I would return to public education, which I love so much, sometime between July 1st of 26 and January 1st of 27. To get there, I consulted for 4 different supervisory unions over the last year. As well as I served on the Act 73 redistricting task force. So I met a lot of people. I interviewed a lot of people. When I was consulting, I was also seeing how they work together, what their beliefs were, how they operated. And without a shadow of a doubt, WVRSU is the best that I see. That goes back to the Washington South days, ONSU days. That's pre-Act 68. Any of the places I consulted, I really appreciate how the superintendent and the admin team comes together, works together, and fast forward, how Superintendent Canary answered 9.1 is why I'm here. Small schools, voice, kids as our center. For folks who haven't been around the state like I have, that has become more rare than what we have been talking about for the last 45 minutes. And that's where I want to be. My career, I don't have that much longer in my career, but I want to be someplace with like-minded folks where we're on the same mission, where kids come first, and we're all pulling for the greater good. And I believe this is the place. So I would love to be part of the team, and I've just been welcomed with open arms. Oh, and the other part of that is, I think you nailed it. I think while going across the state and being part of all these central offices, there's not a lot of business offices that work as well as what Tara's built here. And that was an important thing. It's not like I'm coming in and having to turn around the Titanic. I really think I can come in and just keep on going as is, because she's got a really good system in place. So that was another part of it. So yes, it was strategic, but I think this is my home, if you all will have me.
Nice. What other questions we got, guys? I'm on the hot seat, so.
Now I'm here on camera. I can talk all night. Hit me with anything.
Oh, Sana.
I was just going to say, like, seeing Tara grinning in the back, I think she's grinning. Okay, you are grinning. The entire time that you were speaking, I think speaks volumes of itself. But I mean, no question. I appreciate the energy that you're bringing, and regardless of where you're at in career-wise, you could remain retired, but you're choosing to be here, and I think that says a lot.
Thank you. And it says a lot about you folks as well.
How do you feel about the challenge of Act 73 that could be coming our way? Well, it's already here, but we don't know what it's going to look like.
I think Superintendent Kennard nailed it. I think, a year ago, with all the work the RSCA has done, without that, we would not be here. So I feel like we have a fighting chance. I feel like we are well positioned with how well the SU works, that if we were to look for partners, that would be easy to find. And my age, I've seen enough crazy stuff happen. I'm only worried about getting through tomorrow. I'm not going to worry down the road. And plus, so funny enough, when I first started, I was the last foundation formula. That was my first year. That was the old foundation formula. So we've come full circle. I started with foundation formula. I don't even know what we've been through, and now we're back at it. So we're going to just keep rolling with it. But again, I really feel this is a team. We're going to do this as a team approach, and we can tackle any challenge that comes our way with this larger team in the admin team. So I'm not worried about it. I'm excited for it.
Nice.
And I do believe, and I think that's maybe one of the reasons I'm here, that, smaller is better. And that a lot of this SD talk is based on meeting schedule, not what's best for the communities and kids. I fundamentally believe that. So, I think we're going to be fine.
Stacy.
Hi, Grace. I wanted to thank you first for your work on the task force last year. I watched as much of that as I could, and you were, the entire task force did a great job of just kind of very pragmatically looking at possible solutions. And so I was really delighted by the work that came out of that. I wanted to ask, although maybe it's futile based on your answer to the last question, as you know, the professional organizations representing us in the state, the Vs, seem increasingly at odds with our ideology for a path forward. As you know, we left our membership in the VSBA. The VSA is very much not in line with where we're thinking. And I know that VASBO is also kind of not advocating for our continued existence as an organization, but also, in my opinion, coming from a very small town, our continued existence as towns, because I think that the SD proposal really erodes some of our smaller towns, some of our very smallest towns. So I wondered, I guess it's very rambly, how you plan to move forward representing us, but representing us within an organization who very much is at odds with how we're trying to move forward.
Good question.
I feel like I'm already part of the family. I have historically been against VASBO. I don't know if Tara's laughing, but I've usually been the black sheep with a lot of their thought processes. So I feel right at home. I tend to agree with everything you said. I generally disagree with most everything the Bs say. My priority is to take care of White River Valley, SU, and our communities, our kids, and our families. And I'm going to do whatever I got to do to make that happen with my team. And if I upset some people in Montpelier, so be it. And I have done it before and I'll do it again. What's most important is our kids, our communities, our organization. And if it grows because we find some like-minded partners, then they become part of the family too. But that's how I'll do it. I'm here for us, for our mission, not for what someone thinks it should be in Montpelier. And especially not what someone might think it should be in Chittenden County with 20,000 students. It's just a different world. And I would add that why I'm so passionate about smaller schools, kids, communities, is I grew up in East Barre, Vermont, population 400. I went to a one-room schoolhouse, and I think I came out all right. I mean, some days, I don't know. Some days it's debatable, but I do believe the school is the center of the community, and the community raises the kids, not the other way around. So that's what I'm going to bring to WVRSU.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
Michael?
Yeah, so I would just say that what you're hearing and seeing from Chris is exactly what we saw and talked about for over an hour when we met together as a committee. It's incredibly consistent. It's very strong and very clear, and that he has our enthusiastic and unanimous support to be our next business manager. So we feel quite strongly about his candidacy and would love to work with him. So
beautiful. Thank you, Michael.
Back to you, Kathy.
Any more questions, guys? Will?
Hey, apologies for no camera. I'm actually in the car at the moment, but I just saw some of your experience around facilities management, both like on the operations side and the capital improvement side, and just wondering if you might speak a little bit more about that and like what you think you might be able to bring to the SU in that realm.
Yeah, I would be glad to talk. So outside of budgeting and town meetings, my third favorite thing is operations and maintenance. I love school buildings. I love maintaining them. I think the school building is the center part of the community. I always picture if so-and-so is thinking of moving up from New Jersey and they come to our town and they drive by, they're going to want to see the school. I want to make sure the school is looking good. Secondly, I want it to be safe for the kids, the staff, and the community for however they use it, whenever they use it. I'm just a huge, I've been part of a $10 million renovation, $8 million renovation project in 2008 during the pandemic with all the COVID funds that came through. I strategically did not use them to hire staff because I was afraid we wouldn't be able to maintain them. So I used pretty much all of that money, the second and third round, to do facility upgrades at our older rural schools, whether it be airflow or some insulation, what have you. So I like to think I've had experience in every facet of a building from, well, there's been times I had to sub as custodian. I hope we don't have to do that again, but I've done everything from shoveling the walkways to, like I said, doing a $10 million project. I will also add, it's not on my resume. I don't think it might be. I am a co-founder of a BOCES, one of the first BOCES in Vermont. Jamie called it a seesaw. I'm not familiar with that. But I currently today am the president and co-founder of the FMDA. We procure custodial supplies for 184 schools and colleges in Vermont. So I bring everything from the labor side all the way to the purchasing side, mixed in with the budgeting. And I love facilities as much as I love budgeting and town meetings. I just love it. So I'm not as enthusiastic about transportation. So I don't know where that flows. I don't know if that's on there anywhere, but facilities, I love it. I take it seriously. I'll stop talking in a minute, but I take it very seriously. The safe and healthy learning environment is paramount to me. I want every student, every teacher, everybody to be there learning and not worried about something falling down from the ceilings or paint chipping or whatever. I think it should be a safe and healthy school environment and something that we are collectively proud of as a board and as our communities. So that's why I take it so serious. And it's a huge investment that, again, I'll stop now, but I could go on and on, the importance of facilities.
You know, one thing I didn't do that I probably should have done, we didn't introduce ourselves as board members. We just started questioning
all
you and
right.
didn't let you. So why don't we go through each of us and introduce ourselves to Chris? We'll start with Michael, he's already met you. Stacy.
Hi again, I'm Stacy Peters from Hancock. I represent the Granville-Hancock Unified District Board. As you know, we don't have a school here.
Bill?
Yeah, hi. Great to meet you, Chris. I'm looking forward to doing it in person. I'm from Stockbridge and on the Rochester Stockbridge District Board.
And you already met Nancy.
Yep.
Eric?
Hi, Eric Lopez from Stratford. We have one K through 8th grade school, Colt Newton School in Stratford.
And Sana?
I'm Sana Siddiqui. I also represent the Newton School and I'm on that board and I'm the most recent board member.
And Jamie?
I am Jamie Daniel. I'm also a recent board member representing the people of Bethel, Vermont.
And Jesse?
Hi, Jesse Bissett. I live in Stockbridge, and I am new to the board as well here and excited to be a part of it and look forward to interacting with you as you're integrating into the system. So thank you.
Robin?
Hi, I'm Robin B. Belong. I live in Rochester and I'm part of the RSUD board as well.
Cool. Sylvia?
I'm Sylvia Moore and I'm part of the Sharon board.
And Nell?
Hi, Chris. Nell. I'm also part of the Newton board in Stratford, Vermont.
And Will?
Hi again, Will Davis. I'm with the Sharon board.
Hi, Dave Dumaine. So, Rod Royalton.
Okay. You know me.
Yes. Hey, nice to meet everybody. Look forward to meeting you in person.
All right. And I have Will, your hand up.
I think you just put it down.
Okay. And Sana, is your hand up?
Sorry.
Actually, yes, I did have an additional question for Chris. I saw in your most recent, your most recent experience has been in weatherization and climate impact. And I'm just, especially given we're experiencing it right now with the snow, with increased flooding and so on and so forth, buildings that are much need in repair. And I'm wondering how, how you would apply that lens to the role and, how you would approach, because you can't, there are ways to be efficient and weatherize and
So that's a good question. So I actually took my experience with running the CVSU schools and applied it to the community action. Every project I do moving forward and in the past, I look to do not only the most cost effective, but the most energy efficient we possibly can, whether that be windows, insulation, a white roof to reflect the sun in the summer, whatever. Every decision has weatherization components in it as well as financial. So that has been a part of my process for 25 years. The studies are amazing on how much you can save, not only in electricity, but in heating with different R values and how you build different things. So everything I do is with that lens, and that will never change. So it's not the best answer because I don't have a specific example for you right now. But even there again, just one simple thing we do at Community Action, which I would do here possibly maybe once I get into those, is just change it to LED lights. I mean, that isn't really a big weatherization thing necessarily, but it saves kilowatt hours and it keeps stuff out of the landfills because you're not throwing away so much product because they last much longer. So you just take that and extrapolate it over and over with bigger things, and that's kind of what I do. So weatherization is part of everything, every decision I'll make on the building side, no matter what. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Except for this building. I know Tara's working on it.
And I wanted to add to that because often a barrier to making things more efficient that are more cost effective in the long run is that initial investment. But I would love to chat with you more. I do a lot of work where we look at energy systems and microgrids and so on, like in the polar Arctic. And so there are models that I think are quite transferable and like applicable like here in Vermont as well. So I'd love to chat more.
I love it, and you can see I could talk about this all night and all day. And I have a lot of great partnerships with Efficiency Vermont. So I'm a huge Efficiency Vermont fan, and that's often where I go first for funding to get even the smallest projects done. So yes, look forward to talking more about it.
What else, guys?
If not, you should go into executive session.
So we need to go into executive session
Discuss personnel
and invite the superintendent. Do I have a motion to go into executive session and invite our superintendent to discuss?
So
personnel?
moved. Okay.
I make a motion that we come out of executive session.
So moved.
All right. We're out of executive session. We need a motion, Stacy?
Sure. I would move to empower WVRSU Superintendent Jamie Canoni to negotiate a contract with Chris Locarno for the position of the WVRSU Business Manager, effective July 1st, 2026.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? All right, hearing none, he passed unanimously.
Great. I'll notify them.
All right, great.
Thank you. And I would also like to just acknowledge the good work of Tara Weatherall in the position of business manager.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, and we'll have to work on doing something for her.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll get together and come up with.
Could be a
something
good use of that June wagon wheel.
next. Yeah,
Oh.
A party for Tara?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
that'd be awesome. All right, is there any public comment? Nope.
They're bigger, but no one else seems to have.
We do our executive session, public, any resignations, future agenda items. What's that called?
The Vermont School Safety Center. So it's just, you could say, Vermont Department of Public Safety personnel presentation, I guess. And just when we could try to get that on the books or communicate with them.
What do you think in June wagon?
Well, no, maybe that one could be the May.
Oh, maybe talking about a May wagon.
Sure. Yeah, actually, that was my question. I didn't know if it was, if I send them your email or if I talk to her, see if it's even possible for May. And then
If you want to
after-
talk, see if May is possible, and send Kathy and my.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's still,
Cool.
4 months away, 3.5
Yeah.
to give them planning time. So that's great.
And we have our next meeting as February 24th, but we're thinking about moving that to the 16th.
Yeah, at the policy committee, the 24th seemed problematic. It's during February break. And so the 16th seemed to be fine for policy committee members. How about full board members, of which there some of you are policy committee members?
Can I get a thumbs up for the ones that can make the 16th work?
You look good.
Yeah, we look good.
Yeah, Sana, yeah, no,
Yes,
I think we're good.
I think we're good. Are you good?
Yes.
So 16th will work. Okay, you got a form then.
All right, we'll plan on the 16th for both policy and full board.
I want to say we jammed that all in by 7:30, guys. We did pretty well. We solved the problems of the world tonight. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Sure,
So moved.
so move.
All right, we're